Well, here's the thing. I mean, she's such a great actress,
Mm-hmm.
and I met her on the set and was so impressed with her as just a person. I didn't spend a lot of time around her, but I mean, I could tell you a story. I won't right now, but um, I saw her in, well, just without going into the details, there were some underlings under the casting director who were casting the crowd scene, that I'm in at the
Right. I
beginning,
remember this story.
and who were taking, it wasn't the casting director who was a famous casting director, but one or two people under him were taking advantage of some of the young girls who were trying out, the college co-eds.
Right.
And the first time that I met Ellen Burstyn, she came to my dad's room crying because she had heard the story that these girls were being taken advantage of. And she was literally in tears, almost hysterical. My dad was the producer, so she came to him and said, you have to talk to these girls. You have to find out if this is true. And if so, you have to fire this guy or these guys immediately. And which is what happened. My dad looked into it, and they had indeed taken advantage, and they were fired. But I mean, that was my first impression of Ellen Burstyn. So, and I've met her a couple of times, just briefly subsequent to that, and just an impressive person. I've read part of her autobiography. I bought it mostly to read what she had to say about The Exorcist. I can't imagine anybody saying anything negative about her. So when I heard she was going to be in the film, I'm like, oh no, please, because I thought, how can you do this, And then I heard that she had read the scripts and didn't, because she herself said, didn't think that much of them and turned it away. And then they made some changes, and she read the script and she said, no, I'm sorry. And then they just, as you know, offered her.
Yeah, they kept hyping
money you can't
the
refuse.
offer up and up and up.
Right. Yeah. And the way I feel about that, of course, who can criticize any actor for deciding to be in a film? Look at Richard Burton, all the films he was in, the turkeys, because, he wanted the money, needed the money. In her case, as you know, the story, they offered her, I don't think it was the money they offered her so much as her charity. Here's her acting charity. Mm-hmm. And when they offered it, and I don't know the figure, but I'll bet it was half of the budget that they
probably, I wouldn't doubt it.
And so, but that shows how desperate they were. Not that you're desperate because you want Ellen Burstyn to be in your movie, but at that point they said to my mind, they're thinking the only thing that's going to save this movie is if we can get Ellen Burstyn in this, and so
she's only in it for like 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. And actually she was in it more than I thought. But anyway, so I don't blame her at all. I think she did the right thing. I think. And so to me, her performance, number one, she's like 90 years old. She looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. She does her part really well. She's convincing, but the writing is terrible.
Right.
They tried to tap into like her real personality. Like, I'm just basing this on the book I read, her book, autobiography, the fact that she was really into spirituality and investigating various religions. I mean, when I heard those lines in the film, they're talking about her, at least as I understand her from my autobiography, very open and very interested in various religions and very spiritual person.